You can keep your precious ranch. Just stay out of our lives. My son's wife screamed in the house I built with my husband. The air was dry that morning, brittle with heat and silence. I stood on the porch of the house I had lived in for nearly 40 years, brushing my fingers over the sun-faded railings my husband Tomas once sanded smooth by hand. Every plank of this house, every stone on this ranch carried his imprint. It was ours. But now I wasn't sure where I belonged. My name is Elena Reyes. I am 71 years old, and I am no stranger to hardship. I buried my parents, then my son's twin sister when she was only 9. And 2 years ago I buried my Tomas under the oak tree we planted the year we bought the ranch. But I never thought the sharpest betrayal would come from the living. It began subtly, like cracks in old glass. My son Gabriel had married a woman named Alyssa. Bright smile, quick wit, and a silence behind her eyes I could never quite trust. At first she tried, or seemed to, helping with chores, calling me Mama Elena like it belonged on her tongue, but something always felt rehearsed. When Tomas passed, I leaned more on Gabriel. I thought he understood. This ranch was not just property. It was memory, sacrifice, legacy. I had hoped he'd carry that forward, that Alyssa would grow into it. Instead, everything changed. Alyssa began suggesting updates to the house, knocking down Tomas's study, replacing the garden with a pool. She rolled her eyes at the cattle and groaned about the smell of feed. Then came the whispers, maybe sell the place, move somewhere modern, somewhere less backwater. I pretended not to hear. One Sunday morning I walked into the kitchen with the smell of café de olla still in the air and found them whispering. Gabriel stopped mid-sentence. Alyssa didn't. "I'm tired of living in her shadow," she snapped. "We're grown adults. This isn't our home. It's her shrine. I want out, Gabe, or I want her gone." I dropped the mug. It shattered like something sacred. They didn't speak. Gabriel couldn't meet my eyes. Alyssa did, and for the first time the mask dropped. 3 days later, the storm hit. They had called a family meeting. It wasn't a meeting. It was an ambush. Gabriel, eyes hollow, and Alyssa in her pressed white blouse, cold and sharp. "We've been thinking," Gabriel began, voice faltering. "It's time you considered retirement. The ranch is too much. You could move into town, maybe an assisted living place, somewhere safe." "Safe?" I asked, standing rigid, hands trembling, but not from age. "Don't be dramatic," Alyssa cut in. "You can keep the ranch. Just stay out of our lives. We need space. We need a future that isn't chained to this fossil." Silence sucked the oxygen from the room. "This house," I whispered, "was built with my husband's hands. With my hands. This land is soaked in our sweat and prayers. You want to take the soul and leave me the bones." Alyssa shrugged. "If that's how you see it." Gabriel looked like he wanted to speak, but he didn't. And that hurt more than the words. I left. I packed a single bag and walked down the road with no destination in mind. My boots kicked up the dust, Tomas used to say, smelled like home. I stayed with my old friend Maria in town for a week. Maria, fierce and tender, who once helped deliver my babies when the hospital was too far. She let me grieve, not just Tomas, but the crumbling of everything we built. One night, as we shelled peas in her kitchen, she asked, "You gonna let that girl rip your roots out like weeds?" "I don't know where to start," I said. Maria tilted her head. "Then start with the truth, about what Tomas left behind." I froze. The next morning I drove back to the ranch. Not to beg, to end it. Gabriel was in the barn, Alyssa in the garden, my garden. My roses were gone, replaced with white gravel and faux succulents. They didn't expect me. "I came for the documents," I said. Alyssa crossed her arms. "What documents?" "Ask your husband." Gabriel paled. "Mom." "No," I said. I stayed quiet too long. We went inside. I opened the old trunk beneath my bed and pulled out a sealed envelope with Tomas's handwriting. Alyssa snatched it first, reading with greedy eyes. As she read, the color drained from her face. The ranch wasn't left to Gabriel. It was left to my granddaughter, Camilla, 7 years old, the only daughter of Gabriel and Alyssa. The only soul who still ran barefoot through the pasture, who asked me to tell stories about how I met Tomas under the rain. The only one who called me Lita and meant it. Tomas had left the ranch in trust. Camilla would inherit it when she turned 25. Until then, I was the steward. No one could sell, divide, or alter the land without my permission. "Why would he do this?" Alyssa hissed. "Because he knew," I said. "He knew legacy isn't meant to be sold off for condos or convenience." Gabriel sat down, burying his face in his hands. Alyssa exploded. "You planned this, manipulated him." "No," I said quietly, "but maybe he saw the truth in you long before I did." She stormed out. That was the last time I saw her on this ranch. Gabriel stayed for another week. We barely spoke. Then one morning he packed his truck and left with Alyssa and Camilla. He said nothing. I cried the day they left, not for losing them, but for everything we could have been. 3 months later, a letter arrived. It was from Camilla. Crayon writing, a drawing of a tree and a house and a woman with silver hair. I miss you, Lita. Mommy cries a lot. Daddy says I can come see you when I'm older. Do you still make tamales? I wept. I wrote back. I didn't mention her parents. I told her about the rabbits, about the owls that nested in the barn, about her grandfather's tree and the red swing we never took down. Every month she sent me something, a leaf, a picture, a letter. The ranch is quiet now, but it breathes. And when the wind rustles through the old oak, I hear Tomas's voice. Protect it. For her. One day, Camilla will come back. And when she does, I'll teach her to ride, to plant, to love. She will know where she came from, not just by stories, but by soil. Until then, I wait. This is my home, and I'm its keeper.